Grip socks are great, and now they're even better with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Better fit, moisture wicking, amazing comfort, and all the extra grip you need. Choose from 10 different colors for just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
Another year, another laceless Adidas Predator takedown model that you absolutely should not buy. Ladies and gentlemen, the brand new Adidas Predator Edge.3 Laceless, a football boot that I'm assuming you'd be interested in because A, you're on a budget. This boot retails for $100, which actually isn't that cheap for this tier of football boot, and B, because you're interested in something that has a laceless design, which this one does. Technically, it meets the cheap and laceless criteria. However, it is one that I just really do not recommend. Instead of end plastic waste, this should say end laceless takedown models. I hate to call it a brand for taking advantage of uneducated consumers that don't know any better and are buying into a concept that they deem to be cool, but what they're actually getting is a product that is inferior in terms of overall quality and simply just not very good for the money in comparison to other options out there, including options from Adidas themselves. As an example, the Adidas Predator Edge.3, the low-cut model, retails for $80. It fits better, it's so much more comfortable, and it's just a significantly better product that's kind of the same general idea, minus the laceless system, for $20 less. To make a long story short, you're paying an extra $20 for a product that is significantly worse. And if you're still not convinced, let me explain why I don't think you should buy the laceless Predator Edge.3 as we go over all the details in today's video. So if you want to learn more, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around and watch the entire review. And if you are by chance still interested in a pair of these, you can get them below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. And as always, if you guys enjoy these brutally honest reviews, please don't forget to support it with a like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you don't miss out on reviews of all the latest football boots of 2022. Now, just like the Predator Edge.3 Low that I do recommend, the Edge.3 Laceless also does not share really anything in common with the top-end Predator Edge models aside from the FG stud pattern. Everything else is effectively different. What you're going to find with the upper is not prime knit, instead a textile-based synthetic material that looks quite similar to what you're going to find on that Edge.3 that I just pointed out. However, there is some changes to the liner that actually makes this a little bit thicker and significantly stiffer when you have the boots on feet. You'll also notice that they have changed up the shape of the toe box, where this has more volume and just, again, fits a little bit more awkwardly. Also, the orange bits scattered across the entire upper. Your zone skin elements, normally made out of rubber, on the more expensive options. It's not made out of rubber here on the Edge.3. Instead, it's just texturing on the surface that provides no real additional grip and no real performance benefit. It's just there to make it look like the more expensive options. However, you kind of expect that on a takedown model, and I quite like it on the Edge.3 with the lacing system. However, on the Edge.3 Laceless, because of that additional lining material that adds structure to the upper because of the laceless design in order to make this boot functional and at least somewhat stable, that's what they had to do. It unfortunately kills the comfort and general quality of fit that you get from the Edge.3 Low. That just simply is not here with the Edge.3 Laceless, and to be fair, isn't really there with most of the Adidas Laceless takedown models. Definitely not one of their better efforts in terms of overall fit and certainly in terms of overall comfort. Which brings us to the main selling point of these football boots and the reason why they cost $100, the laceless system. You're going to find that it's made from an elasticated knit material on the surface and then is reinforced by another layer of elasticated knit material on the underside to prevent it from stretching too much. And from a structure standpoint, it actually doesn't feel too bad, not far off what you're going to find from the top end models. Unfortunately, the overall shape of the football boot does not make for very good lockdown and certainly not for very good comfort. You also have a mid-cut design when paired up with this laceless opening that doesn't stretch all that much. It makes putting the boots on and taking them off perhaps more difficult than you'd want it to be, but that kind of comes with the territory of laceless football boots in general, whether they're low end or high end. And I'll give Adidas some credit in saying that I think this football boot fits and feels better on feet than the Predator Freak.3 Laceless that this boot replaces. However, considering the $100 price tag and considering how good the laced Edge.3 Low is for $80, there just isn't a valid reason as to why these are worth the $100 price tag. Moving to the rear, you're gonna find that the boot does have a mid-cut design, which serves no real purpose. It's just there for the sake of aesthetics. Internal plastic heel counter. The heel lining material actually seems pretty similar to what you're going to find on the high-end models. It feels really nice to the touch. However, against your heel, especially if you're not wearing grip socks, along with the shaping and general lockdown provided by this laceless system, the heel lockdown is subpar at best. Your heel is going to slide around and just in general not feel very secure inside the football boots, which again, for $100 is totally unacceptable. That's unacceptable in football boots of any price range, but for me, at $100, you just expect something so much better. And then the insole, typical of a lot of Adidas Takedown models. It's a mesh liner on the surface, a single layer of flat foam, fully glued in, so not much to talk about there. Moving to the base, you're gonna find the same sole plate and stud pattern found on the less expensive Edge.3 options. It's stiff through the midfoot, has decent flexibility through the forefoot, although because of the poor lockdown and high volume and stiffness to the upper, you notice the stiffness of the sole plate a lot more, so it doesn't necessarily feel as good as it does on the Edge.3 models with lacing systems. Then of course the FG stud pattern, new for the Predator Edge generation, kind of more of a triangular bladed shape, a little bit more aggressive than what we had before, and overall a slight improvement, but not something that I would say is particularly noticeable. If you've worn an Adidas football boot in the last 10 years or so, you kind of know what to expect from a traction standpoint. And then you'll also notice this little piece here at the tip of the toe in bright orange. On the high-end model, it has a tungsten weight that you can't feel that's supposed to increase the power of your shot. On the Takedown model, it's a piece of plastic that also does absolutely nothing. Which brings us to the weight, where the Predator Edge line as a whole has been a bit of a disaster this year, especially the top-end models, where the Takedown models that are significantly less expensive also happen to be lighter, which I'm not sure if that makes a lot of sense. At least it's not normal to see in the industry. Nonetheless, in a size 9.5 US, you can see the Edge.3 Laceless weighs in at 8.7 ounces, the equivalent of 247 grams, which again would be lighter than the top end Edge Plus, which retails for $275 by almost a full ounce. Whether or not that means anything to you, it doesn't really mean that much to me. I guess it's up to you to decide, but for me, given the poor fit and poor comfort for $100, the weight is pretty much insignificant. And if weight is important to you, you can get a lighter pair of football boots for significantly less money. On feet, there is very little to be excited about, other than the fact that surprisingly, the laceless system feels pretty decent. And what I mean by that is there's a surprising amount of tension in this area, literally just this small section across the top of the foot where the forefoot and toe box area has tons of width and tons of volume, and then the heel lockdown, either due to the shape, the heel liner, I'm not exactly sure what they've done, there's no heel lockdown. It feels like I could just go on my tippy toes and lift my heels completely out of the football boots, even while wearing grip socks. There is just no security back there at all, basically meaning that there's nothing forcing your heel down and back into the football boots like you would typically have with a pair of football boots that have laces, or just a better pair of laceless football boots in general. So from a fit perspective, these don't feel very good. From a comfort perspective, just down to your heels sliding around all over the place, there is huge potential for blistering and discomfort. And from a stability perspective, these feel borderline unsafe. I just don't really like wearing these at all. They do not feel good. As far as width is concerned, they have some decent width to them if you can manage to get your feet in them. However, because of the laceless design, the opening is quite small, so if you had really wide feet, you're probably not gonna have a good time in these. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So from a sizing perspective, like everything else in the Predator Edge line, these do run true to size. And just a word of advice, if you are planning on picking up any pair of laceless football boots, you want the sizing to be pretty much perfect. No extra growing room. Have your toes as close to the front of the boot as possible while still being comfortable, because the more extra space you have, the more room you're gonna have, the less lockdown you're gonna have, and the worse the overall experience is going to be. Laceless systems do not allow for adjustability, so you need to get the sizing just right in order for them to fit and feel to the best of their ability. So in conclusion, having tried pretty much all the laceless football boots to come out since they became popular again back in 2016, I can tell you that some of them are excellent and some of them are subpar. this falls below subpar. This is just not a very good football boot, and for the $100 price tag, it's just a product that you should avoid entirely. And with so many better options out there from other brands and from Adidas themselves in something like the Edge.3 Low, in something like the Copa Sense 0.3, in something like the Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Academy, just to name a few, there really isn't much of a reason why you should spend $100 on these, when for less money, you can get a football boot that fits significantly better and is significantly more comfortable. And I get the fact that these are laceless football boots at $100, significantly less than you'd have to pay for a top-end model that retails for nearly 3 times as much, but trust me when I say that the cool factor of the football boots being laceless is so significantly outweighed by the fact that almost every aspect of this football boot simply isn't very good.